Welcome to this training, where we will cover everything you need to know about the smoke control curtain and its integration into the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service as a means to limit the spread of smoke throughout structures and prioritize life safety. My name is Keith Stakes, and I'm a research engineer with the Fire Safety Research Institute and currently serve as the Deputy Fire Chief for the Bethesda Chevy Chase Rescue Squad, and I will be one of your narrators for this training.
Greetings. My name is Robert First, a battalion chief with Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service. I will guide you through how the SmokeStopper curtain will update our approach to building fire smoke control and how the curtain will change tactics of the fire rescue personnel on the scene.
The purpose of this training is to inform the personnel and partners of the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service on the scope, methods to deploy, and operation of the SmokeStopper curtain. The SmokeStopper curtain is a tool to provide a means of smoke control in structures and will be incorporated into our incident response policy for MCFRS operations at fires. This training includes this didactic portion as well as in-station practical evolutions to familiarize yourselves with the tool and its usage. There are 5 objectives for this training. Number 1, a review of the hazard of smoke migration and movement in structures, the science of flow paths, smoke control measures, and an explanation of the impact to occupants and the resulting fire department response. Number 2, a definition of the principles of smoke control and ventilation. Number 3, a demonstration of the steps to properly deploy the SmokeStopper curtain. Number 4, an explanation of the expected change in conditions when the SmokeStopper curtain is deployed. And number 5, information on the procedures to clean, maintain, and store the curtain. When a fire occurs inside of a structure, the smoke migrates to areas of the building remote from the fire area, which threatens life and damages property. Public corridors, stairwells, and elevator shafts frequently become smoke-logged, which blocks the evacuation and inhibits both rescue and firefighting operations. It is important to remember that smoke follows any available flow path present, including those present on arrival and those that we establish through firefighting operations. As a reminder, let's redefine what a flow path is. The flow path is the volume between an inlet and an outlet that allows the movement of both heat and smoke from the higher pressure within the fire area towards the lower pressure areas accessible via doors and window openings. A fire receives its oxygen for growth through one or more available flow paths within the structure. There are several things to consider when taking a look at smoke movement in structures. Smoke impacts the tenability of a space and exposes occupants to both a toxic and thermal life safety hazard. We have to remember that occupants may leave doors open upon attempting egress from the building. Upon our arrival, firefighting operations inherently impact flow paths and the resulting smoke migration due to the passage of personnel and hose line advancement, for example, chalking doors for access. The animation on the left shows a representative garden-style apartment with a fire on the terrace or lower level. The fire apartment door is left open and the smoke travels outwards and upwards into the means of egress due to buoyancy and heat. A fire on this lower level has now impacted the ability for occupants on both the first and second floors to safely evacuate the building due to an uncontrolled door. Even with attempts at door control by operating fire crews, the means of egress within a structure can be significantly compromised. The path in which an occupants use to escape a structure is often our path to the fire location. If this means of egress becomes compromised, the occupants no longer have their normal means to escape. At this point, they become rescues. Addressing these rescues within a fire incident often becomes a distraction and is extremely resource intensive. The video playing on the left shows an engine and truck crew entering into a fire apartment on the first floor of a garden apartment with an enclosed stairwell. The operations conducted in this video incorporate a door control firefighter attempting to limit the means of smoke into the stairwell. Even with an attempt at door control, you can see from the video footage that a significant amount of smoke still enters into the stairwell and compromises the egress path for anyone above the location of the fire. An uncontrolled door to the fire apartment creates both a toxic and thermal threat within the public corridor or hallway. There is reduced visibility, high carbon monoxide levels, low oxygen levels, and increased temperature. Any occupants located in apartments on the fire floor will now be unable to egress. In addition, the deterioration of conditions in the public corridor hampers firefighting operations and increases the length of time to get water on the fire.
This is an example of how unrestrained smoke movement in a building threatens the occupants and responders at a building fire. In this high-rise building, the door to the common corridor from the fire apartment remained open, filling the hallway with smoke and superheated gases. The first companies to the fire floor were overwhelmed by fleeing occupants, and the need to perform immediate rescues of occupants overcome by smoke hindered the application of water to burning surfaces. Dozens of occupants were injured, and tragically, one occupant died. These pictures demonstrate how opening a door from a fire compartment to the common corridor alters the conditions in that corridor. The door to the fire apartment was closed, and the hallway conditions were tenable when the responders arrived on the fire floor. After the door was forced open, a flow path for the smoke and fire was created, allowing both to migrate unrestrained into the hallway.
Smoke control is defined as containing the smoke to the smallest compartment possible. Normally, this is achieved by some means of isolation, such as closing a door. However, doors to both corridors and stairwells must be open. One, so we can do our job, occupying space for search as well as applying water to the fire, and number two, so that the residents of the structure may escape. When doors are opened, the fundamental means of containing smoke through compartmentation is defeated. The building's systems are not designed to assist our smoke control efforts during firefighting operations, but merely there to hold the line until we arrive. The purpose and objectives of smoke control are to limit the smoke spread throughout the building, maintain tenable conditions, facilitate the safe evacuation of occupants, and increase firefighting efficiency. Smoke control measures that are typically incorporated into the original building design can include compartmentation, smoke barriers, elevator smoke control, smoke dampers within the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, mechanical ventilation, fire curtains, and stairwell pressurization. As a reminder, the building features designed for smoke control are typically interrupted due to firefighting operations. The SmokeStopper curtain is a tool that can be used during fire operations to control the movement of smoke. It is designed to provide a primary means of limiting the migration of smoke in buildings that works in conjunction with our occupation of spaces for search, as well as the advancement of hose lines for fire suppression. Simply stated, smoke kills. Those that are not killed are either injured or incapacitated. Additionally, firefighting operations are hampered. Smoke control as a concept is supported by our incident response policy. By providing for the continued survival of people, i.e., occupants within the building, who may be trapped, and to control the movement of smoke, especially in high-rise buildings. The research is clear, as are the needs, and the SmokeStopper curtain is a tool to assist in this for the MCFRS. To this point, we've discussed the smoke movement in structures, as well as smoke control measures during initial operations, which will include the SmokeStopper curtain. We also need to discuss the ventilation of a structure during and post-fire knockdown. The purpose of ventilation is to move smoke, with the goal of removing it from the building entirely and returning exposed spaces to ambient conditions. This must occur in coordination with both fire control and extinguishment. Our typical positive pressure fans are not designed to control smoke. They are simply designed to move air. We utilize them in a manner that forces smoke out of the same flow path that the fans move air into. Any crews assigned to smoke control or ventilation must focus on moving smoke out of the lobby and any other means of egress for occupants. Ventilation with positive pressure fans is possible even when smoke control curtains are in place. The purpose of the smoke control curtain is to increase the efficiency of the fan operations. Exhaust openings of equal to or greater than the size of the inlet opening should be made on the dirty side of the smoke control curtain. As pictured on the right, the curtain is placed at the top of the door and held up to increase the efficiency of the fan and limit the inlet area to further aid in smoke removal out of the exhaust openings.
As written in the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service Incident Response Policy, High-Rise Fires Appendix, smoke and other products of combustion pose the greatest threat to the occupants of a building on fire. The containment, control, and evacuation of smoke are vital to protect the occupants and the responders. Protecting the stairwell from smoke migration is paramount. The SmokeStopper curtain is our primary option to control smoke migration in buildings when the doors must be opened to effect occupant evacuation, fire attack, personnel movement, and ventilation. The placement is rapid, and one person can place the device unassisted. Crews assigned to the first arriving aerials will begin smoke control by placing the SmokeStopper curtain at the doorway to the dirty environment. If you find a smoke-filled corridor when opening the doorway to the fire floor at the stairwell, place the first curtain at that stairwell doorway. If the common corridor is tenable, place the device at the door to the hallway from the fire compartment. Place the second curtain at a doorway that is optimal to enhance smoke control, focusing on protecting the stairwells. Crews will enhance smoke control and protect the lobby and floors above the fire from smoke migration with the placement of additional SmokeStopper curtains. Personnel will strategically place SmokeStopper curtains at the stairwell doorways and at the elevator shafts at the lobby, fire floor, and top floors of the building. The utilization of SmokeStopper curtains is not limited to high-rise building fires. Fire rescue personnel will use the device to control smoke at any apartment building with an enclosed stairwell or atrium, and at commercial building fires. The SmokeStopper curtain may be placed at the inlet of a flow path to positively affect conditions in the interior of the building. Note that the SmokeStopper will not stop positive pressure ventilation, so wind-impacted fires will see very little change in conditions. Finally, we are excited to learn of new ways that this device is employed by our members. Each aerial in Montgomery County, Maryland will carry 2 SmokeStopper curtains. LFRDs are permitted to place the device on their rescue squads at their discretion.
When the smoke curtain is deployed to the closest doorway to the fire compartment as possible, the following should be seen. Number 1, an immediate reduction in the heat release rate otherwise known as the fire's power, due to the isolation and elimination of free-flowing air or oxygen, which supports fire growth. Secondarily, and more importantly, an improvement in conditions in all areas on the non-fire or clean side of the deployed curtain. The video playing to the right is from a series of fires at the Maryland Fire and Rescue Institute between the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service and the Fire Safety Research Institute. A fire was set within a simulated fire apartment, and a door to this apartment was left uncontrolled or open. As the fire grew within the fire apartment, you can see conditions within the public corridor deteriorate, with smoke migrating into the means of egress, lowering to the floor, and limiting any other occupant's chance at escape. As the video continues, you can see a crew advance down the hallway, placing the curtain on the door to the fire apartment. Immediately, the smoke and heat traveling from the apartment to the corridor ceases due to this device. From that point forward, the smoke and heat on what is now the clean side of the deployed curtain is able to ventilate out of the structure and allow advancing fire crews to move throughout the building for fire suppression and occupying spaces for the search. This also allows an improvement in conditions on the clean side of the curtain to remove any other occupants from the fire floor. This video shows an example deployment of the smoke control curtain on an apartment fire. The top left view is from the exterior of the structure at the Alpha Delta corner. The fire apartment is located on the second floor. The top right view is from the end of the public corridor just outside the fire apartment with an uncontrolled door. The bottom left and bottom right views are from the start of the public corridor just inside from the stairwell, with the bottom left being a standard view and the bottom right being thermal or infrared. In this scenario, the truck crew, simulated arriving first, advances down the public corridor and deploys the smoke control curtain on the fire apartment door. An immediate reduction in heat, smoke, and products of combustion are seen, no longer exhausting from the apartment into the corridor and means of egress. The truck crew then migrates back to the stairwell, and shortly thereafter we see the fire suppression or engine crew advance down the corridor, pass through and under the smoke control curtain to complete extinguishment. Once extinguishment is complete, the window to the fire apartment is opened and hydraulic ventilation begins. While hydraulic ventilation is ongoing, take note of the smoke control curtain. It is drawing into the fire apartment from the public corridor, allowing an intake of fresh air and further allowing conditions in the structure to return to tenable or ambient conditions. In order to clean the smoke control curtain, crews should conduct gross decontamination with both soap and water after each exposure to products of combustion. The curtain should be removed from the metal hanger and hung to dry. Crews should inspect monthly and before each deployment to ensure that the curtain is clean, intact, and packed appropriately for rapid deployment. The inspection should also include exercising the securement mechanism on the curtain by setting it in a doorway. The curtain should be mounted on the apparatus in a compartment that makes it readily accessible during fire operations. More information can be found at the link below. This concludes the didactic portion of the training on the smoke control curtain. For any further questions, you can contact myself, Keith Stakes, Battalion Chief Robert First, or Battalion Chief Christy First. Thanks for your attention, and stay safe.